like
No.
doing.
No, absolutely not. My experience is just going, Hoop going, what do you do? And I say, I use gun. And Hoop says, yeah, you can use gun.
That's it. That's the long and short of it. Truly.
Oh, we're live. Shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
JT will not stand for this slancer.
God damn it. All right.
I do
well,
agree about Lancer though. Like, I just feel like God. Sorry, one final sidebar.
Go ahead.
I love Lancer. I love like the meaning behind it. I love the methodology behind it. But really, is it appropriate that I'm only allowed to move 3 spaces per round in combat? Are you fucking kidding me? 3 spaces? You can't go anywhere. These maps are huge. That's Marion.
It's true.
Fuck.
You gotta. So the trick with Lancer is building to do one thing really, really good, right? So like you could build a character that goes upwards of 28 spaces in a round, and it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see because it just gels so well.
Or you can just use gun repeatedly.
Or you
Use
could
gun
just
repeatedly.
use gun repeatedly. There are builds for that. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
It's
why would I play TTRPG where I can move only 3 spaces per turn when I can play TTRPG where I can move 5 spaces per turn?
I feel like we're getting really hung up on the 3 space.
I've never
thing.
played Lancer. I'm just here for the chaos.
Thank you, Will.
Like, yes. Can my particular mech be gay with another actual mech suit? Yes, it can. And it's canon.
You have my
But I
attention.
can't be gay with that mech if I can't cross the field to be gay with it.
You just gotta be gay with a mech on your side of the field, Amber. I don't know what
That's
to tell you.
masturbation, JT.
There are surely other mechs on your side of the field. Does it have to be an enemy mech?
We do love an enemies to lovers trope.
Exclusively hooking up with mechs on your side of the field is arguably gayer.
5 is canonically more than 3. Thank you, Q.
I appreciate you, Q.
Q,
Incredible. Yes, we miss you, Q.
We do.
Fuck, I'm doing the intro. I got distracted.
I could do it if you want.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I care about Lancer.
I got distracted thinking about Gay Max. I'm so sorry. That's where I'm at. We've had a wild week here this week, guys.
It's okay. My husband and I are getting super high tomorrow after we watch the JMU game, and we're gonna watch what was it? Mobile Suit Gundam, like all the movies on Netflix. So look out for that live tweet bullshit.
hell yeah.
All right, I can do the intro. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a really long time, and I guess it has been because it was the last time we had a session. It was Table 2's finale.
I guess it has been.
Will, we've had a chat with the budget department, and there's no more room in the budget for you. I'm sorry.
Well, you are a monster.
The funny thing about that, JT, is I'm the only one with the password to the PayPal account.
It's true.
I'm budgeting on vibes alone over here, okay?
That's extremely fair. I have used all the vibes.
We haven't even started, Will. Anyways, hi. We are live. We are live from the apocalypse. We are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio that raises money for aid organizations and good causes. And last night, we broke our stretch goal for Rainbow Railroad, and we are still going with this as one of our last 4 games of Hasmus and of the year. So, at any point during the stream, you can donate. You'll find the donate button if you are on a desktop or browser, where the subscribe button would usually be. We are currently fundraising for Rainbow Railroad, which is an amazing organization that help LGBT people, and especially in these trying times, trans people get from unsafe environments to safer ones. We are currently finishing up our fundraising for them for the Canadian branch, and we will be doing that through the rest of this year, and then moving to a new charity or group to platform as we move into 2024. You can also donate by typing !donate if you are on mobile. If you do that, the McElroy brothers will yell specifically at Will, so make sure that you distract him at a really pivotal moment for Abigail tonight. We may all scream in solidarity for what Will is experiencing. You can, if you so choose, find the subscribe button. We have done our best to hide it. But if you find it, just be forewarned. If you do that, beloved Dimension 20 Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill one dog for every month that you have been subscribed. You don't want that. It's the end of the year. It's the holiday season. Why would you do that? Just donate some money to Rainbow Railroad. And I think that's the intro. As much as I can remember, we have bits and reactions and fun things like that. Oh yeah, and let me not forget to remind you, you can donate for good things to happen and bad things to happen. Not donate. Use your points for the channel. And we had a lot of bad things given to us last time, actually, now that I think about it. A lot of them weren't used because the last table decided to make bad things happen to themselves, and I really didn't need to redeem any of those. I'll decide if they spill over for tonight. Anyways, while I'm doing that, we should go to introductions, starting with you, Amber.
Ass and shit and also balls. God damn it. Hi, everybody. I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. I am a 3-time Emmy-nominated TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, and streamer. Tonight, I will be playing Astrid Primer, noted weirdo of the forest and former unicorn, now turned changeling, who is her darkest self. Pronouns they, she. Same as my pronouns. Hell yeah, dog. Let's go.
Incredible. Will, you are up next.
Hello. Hi. My name is Will. I'm one of the storytellers here live from the apocalypse. Talk about more stuff about that at the end. Tonight and all nights, I will be playing Miss Abigail Donatelli, the devil. And make of that what you will.
I appreciate that you said all nights, like thereby indicating that you are Abigail, even when you are our storyteller for other
Listen,
games. Which
sometimes
explains a lot.
we play characters, sometimes we realize things about ourselves. It's TTRPGs.
And last but not least, JT.
Hi, I'm JT. My pronouns are they, them. I am probably the character slated with the most severe rammies tonight of her own design. I'm playing Miss Octavia Frostpin, former Lady of the Fae, now Winter's Exile. I'm very afraid.
There's nothing to be afraid of, JT. Everything's fine.
I don't believe you.
I know your face says that, and I don't understand why. I've never done anything to make you think I'm untrustworthy.
It's not you, it's me.
And with that, you're going to make me introduce myself, aren't you? Or am I going to escape that this time? I could have escaped it this time.
He does have
I
control of
regret
the
my
thing.
I regret my life and choices. Hi, I am JD. I am the storyteller for this game, and I will be playing everyone else. And so it has been a while. So we're going to do just kind of a brief recap of where we were when we last ended. Abigail wasn't around. Octavia had discovered that when She went back to her new home for the time being and found that she could not find her way back or get inside. So, a friend of Abigail's showed up and ensured that you had a place to stay. Astrid and Dorian had a heart to heart, and after that, found themselves, along with Octavia, speaking with the seneschal, Damien Deloso. A meeting that did not go particularly well. Astrid took exception to many of the things that Damien was saying and made their point quite clearly to him in a display of her power. And as we left the trio who were at that meeting, Astrid and Dorian were walking together, not being completely decided on whether they would be showing up at the palace for the jury of Fae that was convening to meet with Queen Louis and Sovereign Micah to speak with the Winter Court, who supposedly are willing to stand down. Octavia left shortly after, making it clear that she would be in attendance as one of the members of the jury of Fae and as the one member of the Winter Court who has been standing up against her uncle. We're going to start on a street in London. There, Astrid Primer is walking with Dorian Black. What is Astrid feeling as they walk alongside him?
Hmm. I can't remember. Did I did tell Dorian.
You
Okay,
did.
great.
Yep.
It's been a month. I
You
know what
both
month it's been.
you both shared your secrets with one another.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Astrid does go into her darkest self and is still in her darkest self. It is very difficult for um it is very difficult for Astrid to leave darkest self at this point unless someone is open and honest with me or tells me their deepest secret. Unfortunately, we Dorian and I did that ahead of time, and so we cannot benefit from that right now. But Astrid is furious. Uh the way that their darkest self right now is manifesting, uh it is whipping. I mean, they're the like magic that they're just now getting a handle on, getting used to using, is creating gusts of wind with increasing with power and ferocity with every subsequent step Astrid takes down these cobblestone streets. I mean, it is like click, click, uh, and she is tired of being used as a political pawn by. And she's realizing actually that she's been a political pawn this entire time, her entire life, literally, and had no idea until recently, and has been spending a lot of downtime reevaluating kind of where she might have been too naive or even too sated to even take that time to consider what's been going on. So just realizing how much of a fool and how much her naivete has been taken advantage of, it's only helping to bolster the rage and ferocity that she feels coursing through her veins. Um, at this point, like the wind is starting to like bend boughs and trees that she's walking past, maybe flutter some like shutters on windows. Um, but she doesn't want to talk to anyone right now and is fearful that if she speaks to Dorian, the words she says will not be kind and they will be cruel, harmful, and potentially put him at stake.
And hearing that, Astrid, I'm curious. Are you holding Dorian's hand in this moment?
Absolutely not.
And so I think because of that, it takes you a few moments to realize that he is no longer in step with you. You are probably 5 or 6 steps ahead when you register that you're no longer hearing his footsteps nor feeling his presence right there by your side.
The anger doesn't subside in Astrid when they turn around. They almost spin around with an accusatory, like they spin around almost accusatorily, as if Dorian is specifically trying to avoid saying anything or doing anything. Um, but that the accusation that was at the tip of Astrid's tongue dissolves into nothingness when they realize Dorian's nowhere to be seen.
Well, and that's the thing. He is somewhere to be seen. You turn and you see this golden light falling over the street all around Dorian, who is surrounded by 3 other figures. And you catch snippets of what is being said. You hear several names. You hear the name Remiel. You hear the name Uriel. And you hear the name Raphael. You can't make out anything beyond that in the split seconds that you have before what happens next occurs. But you do see Dorian meet your eyes. His sunglasses are on the ground. White light is spilling out of his eyes as it spills out of the 3 figures around him. And he reaches a hand out. And in a voice that does not sound like his, though the words clearly are, he promises you, I'll be back. I swear it.
Do you promise it?
And you see and hear those words, you see him about to respond. And then with a snap, he and those 3 figures are all gone.
I think Astrid tries to run after them if possible. just, I mean, probably fruitlessly, right? But um yeah, definitely fruitlessly. But what but she starts running. She picks up her skirts and starts like running in the direction that they were in, hoping to maybe go fast enough to grab something, someone, be tugged along, to maybe grasp at the threads of magic that held Dorian there, maybe side along or something. Desperately.
And I think you don't even go that far, Astrid. I think you run in that direction and you reach the point where they were standing. And you realize in that moment that where that golden light fell, there is the imprint of a sun now etched onto the cobblestones. And as you move through that, you feel energy almost like static electricity crackling over your skin. It's like nothing you have ever felt before. It doesn't feel like fairy. It doesn't feel even like the threads that you were toying with in the graveyard. This is something utterly foreign. There's a sense almost of warmth and comfort, but almost more like the sun on a winter day, where it's there and it's warm, but it's a cold comfort. And you realize immediately that wherever Dorian is, it is not on this plane of existence.
Can Astrid like Astrid is going to fall to her knees, not caring for once about the dirt that, you know, is obviously going to stain her skirts. And I think for the first time in a long time feel actual hopelessness. And hold on, I'm trying to find a D6 here. Damn. The one time I don't need D8. Uh I I can't tell if right now I want to do a runaway or a gaze into the abyss.
I support both. I will leave that choice up to you.
I think I'm gonna just the fear of something coming out of nowhere, 3 archangels ostensibly coming out of nowhere and snatching Dorian up immediately after meeting the seneschal, immediately after like this big conversation about potential issues in the court. It's so much. It's absolutely so much. And so Astrid's going to run to the only place that she knows to be home right now, which is the home she will be sharing with Dorian once they're joined to matrimony and run away.
Incredible. You make your way back there without incident. No one crosses your path. In fact, you can tell, given the energy coming off of you. Others are giving you a bit of a wide berth as you make your way to the place you will be calling home.
Was there anything of Dorian left behind that Astrid might have been able to pick up before she ran?
It's interesting you ask that because Astrid doesn't realize what they have grabbed until they are reaching to open the door. You're not quite sure when. You're thinking it was probably when you dropped to your knees. But in your hand, the white feather.
I think she realizes it's a white feather when she, like, goes to look for, like, the key to the house and finds instead the feather in her hand rather than the key ring. And it's like with now that she's kind of, like, broken the bubble of, like, the privacy of home, right? She's, like, at the door. That's where she, like, leans full force into the door and just starts breaking down and sobs, still in her darkest self, letting go and actually feeling and experiencing emotion and disappointment and rage and anxiety and fear and everything that she has been trained not to feel. And she feels it all at once, and it's so overwhelming. It's building the wind even faster. It feels like a tornado in her heart, and the only thing that makes sense is to let it all out.
And it's only as that storm is quieting a bit, just a fraction, that you realize that there is a feeling of warmth in the hand that is holding that feather. And you feel that moving up your arm to your shoulders, wrapping around you almost like an embrace.
Astrid lulls her head back onto the door, almost as if anticipating that Dorian's hand is there, grazing her jawline softly the way he does. Just continues to weep, but at least she can imagine there's comfort in the delusion here that Dorian's still with her. There's comfort in that delusion that he hasn't just disappeared in this ultimate time of need right before everything's supposed to kick off.
And we're going to leave Astrid there for a moment with that feeling of at least some measure of temporary comfort. We're going to move over to Octavia as she makes her way to the palace.
It's a cold night we're having. Sorry. Um, I think Octavia's moving briskly, almost running, but I think attempting to conserve what energy she has left, and she's letting off a fog instead of frosting the ground as she steps. Um, Everfrost still ever ready at her side, dressed in the garbs that she's been wearing for God knows how long now, since she didn't have access to her clothes, and she is just out broad daylight in the middle of the street, very clearly heading for the palace and this meeting.
And you make it to the palace without difficulty, Octavia. No one attempts to stop you. You are a part of the jury of Fae, so you are more than welcome to step inside. You do notice something strange as you're moving towards the entrance, and that is that on the palace lawn, there is a spot of what looks like blighted earth. And that is strange enough. But what is particularly strange is the fact that it keeps flickering in and out. You'll look and it's there. You look again and it's gone. A few moments later, it's back again.
Don't think that she would know what that is. Um, she hasn't had very much experience, I think, with extraplanar nonsense, and so just shakes it off and carries on.
And you are able again to enter the palace. You are escorted by one of the guards to one of the meeting rooms where this is taking place on ostensibly neutral ground. And you see the rest, well, most of the rest of the jury of Fae already there. You see Prince Xavier of the Spring Court. You see the Seneschal Caspian of Summer. Sorrel is there representing Autumn. And Ambrosia is there as the arbiter of justice, as they have been. The only one not connected to any court until you became Winter's exile, which is ostensibly your role in this. You do not see the representative of the Winter Court.
I see my uncle has made great haste to be late again.
Xavier gives you a curt nod. Caspian looks like he doesn't want to deal with this conversation at all. And that is about all you have time to say before a familiar figure walks into the room. One with purple hair. And you see Emery of the Winter Court take the spot at the table that was once yours.
She will nod to Emery. As far as she's concerned, Emery is a victim in all this as well. She'll take post next to Ambrosia, I think.
And that is the moment that Laszlo and Queen Guinevere and their son return.
Does JT sound like they're underwater to anybody? Okay.
Will, you are muted.
I hit the wrong button. I was just saying, yeah, your microphone is doing something weird. You sounded normal there, though, so you're probably fine.
We're all good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, you sound fine now. It was just like for that stretch where you were talking.
Weird. Okay. And so with that, King Laszlo, Queen Guinevere, and their son, Prince Reynard, walk into the room. Prince Reynard's eyes glow with an infernal light. And I do not believe that the three of them enter alone.
You don't have to do this.
Who's with them?
I think one Miss Abigail Donatelli is standing by King Laszlo's side.
Abigail enters with them and doesn't really give Octavia a second glance.
JD, I think I'm going to ask something that I don't think I've ever asked you to do before. I
Yeah,
think
what's up?
Octavia's the only one who hasn't had to roll to keep her cool yet.
I think that you should definitely roll to keep your cool. Please roll with cold and tell me what you were afraid of.
Octavia's afraid that Abigail has truly turned against her, knowing what Abigail knows. Oh no. I've lost a die. It's okay. I'm rolling with what, cold?
Yep.
Ironically, Octavia's worst stats.
I was about
like
to say something you're good at, obviously.
like 5, right? 5's a good number. 5's a fun succeeding number that we have.
110%. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful number. So mark experience.
Yeah.
Octavia, you are convinced that Abigail has turned against you. I mean, she wasn't there when you came home. You went to go to a place that you'd been promised to stay. And she was missing. And now she's here with your uncle, knowing everything that she knows about you.
What do we think? Darkest Self? Just like a little bit?
I
Sort of a
think
straw on the camel's back situation?
I would love that for you. We were just talking about how you haven't experienced that yet.
I think that you were just looking for an excuse at this point, but a good excuse as this, I cannot possibly turn down, can I? I think the room frosts over instantly. Colder than the restaurant, and the floor is definitely a slip hazard at this rate. As that last little thread in Octavia's mind of maybe I can turn this around snaps. Um, I think she gets a new tattoo style permanent glamour in the form of frosted tears down from her eyes. And her hand does almost instinctively go to Everfrost on her hip, but just resting there now as she watches Abigail walk in.
Abigail, for her part, just takes her place at Laszlo's side. A little ways back, obviously, from him, but in deference.
And Octavia, you watch this and you know your uncle. You know exactly how he treats someone he has respect for and someone he has no respect for. He is treating Abigail as someone he owes a debt of gratitude to.
She's not going to be clear about who she's addressing this to. She's speaking in the direction of Abigail and Laszlo. I never took you for a coward. Brash, and maybe just a little bit conceited, perhaps. Definitely out of your step. But a coward is new. It almost suits you.
I sort of imagine Laszlo might be like about to respond or stand up or something, and Abigail will put out a hand, say, "There's no reason to react, my liege. Octavia is just learning one of the most important lessons someone like us can learn. When a devil says, 'I promise,' don't listen."
Would be no less for my uncle to throw out the promises of our people for you. Desperate and scared man turns to a devil. I must have been a shining example of that to you.
And once again, Laszlo does not have a chance to respond, though this time it is because Queen Louis and Sovereign Micah walk in. And it surprises you, Octavia, because as the two of them enter the room, the floor around them, the ice begins to melt, almost like it has no sway in their presence. It doesn't melt entirely from the room where you are seated. The floor remains frosted over, but there is a pocket of, it looks almost like warmth radiating around the two of them, and they both obviously notice what is happening and are just not going to comment on it, and instead move to call this meeting to order. Except there is a realization. Seneschal Damien Deloso is not there. That's when the third interruption comes, because the door to the room swings open. And Damien walks inside. He too does not seem affected by the ice across the floor, though unlike the Queen and Sovereign, the ice doesn't disappear beneath his feet. He merely doesn't slip. And his appearance would not be a surprise to you, Octavia, having just seen him, but to the others in the room, it might be a bit alarming because there is dirt on him. There are leaves and branches still mixed in his clothes and hair. There is a hole in his shirt, though there is no visible wound. And he looks exhausted. He stops short as he's about to address the Queen and Sovereign as he catches sight of you, Abigail.
I blow him a kiss.
And you just see a muscle in his jaw tighten. And then he studiously looks away from you. And just as Sovereign Micah is saying, "We are so glad you are here, Seneschal Deloso. We are about to bring this meeting and convening of the jury of fate to order." He cuts the Seneschal off. And he says, "I'm not here for that. Consider this my formal resignation. It was pointed out to me that while I am meant to uphold justice and balance, I have upheld neither." And his eyes move to Octavia just for a moment. And then he turns his attention back to his regents and says, "And so you will have to find someone else to do this, or you will have to do a better job of governing yourself in this country." And then he turns to leave. And he makes it 2 steps before Sovereign Micah stands up and just says, "Stop." And Damien freezes like he was grabbed. How are Octavia and Abigail responding to the spectacle that is unfolding in front of them?
I mean, Abigail looks like at the exact intersection of bored and delighted.
Incredible.
I think Octavia is just outright shocked. I don't think that she thought he had it in him. She's I think only Abigail would know as far as being the only person in this room who knows Octavia as well as she does. Octavia is also just a little bit amused by this because as far as she's concerned right now, Sovereign Micah and the Queen screwed her over.
This is why we're best friends.
You're still in the doghouse.
Listen, Abigail has done nothing wrong ever in her life. And we know
Betrayals at
this,
every
and we love
corner.
her.
What's your angle?
Guess we'll see.
You could ask me at some point.
Damien clearly can't continue walking. That much is clear, but he's able to look over his shoulder at Sovereign Micah. And the look in his eyes is one of anger and betrayal. And he just says, "So, this is how you treat those who will not enact your will. I made my position clear. I am leaving. Find yourself a new guard dog. Maybe you'll actually be able to keep this one." And you can both tell that Sovereign Micah is in a very precarious position. Because if he allows this to go unpunished, he is doing that in front of the Winter Court. But you can tell in their eyes that that look Damien gave them has struck home. And they want an out.
I think Octavia
Octavia?
stands up.
Yeah.
Your Majesty, Damien has expressed that he would like to leave. This meeting can continue in due course at another date, such as you can find a suitable replacement. As we have no arbiter of justice for your side. So, it is of my opinion, as an unaligned Fae, and Winter's exile, that this be postponed until such a replacement can be found.
And Sovereign Micah considers that. And you can tell that they're wavering. And that is the moment that Ambrosia stands and says, "Given that Octavia Frostpin is Winter's exile, perhaps she would be willing to stand in as the arbiter of justice on the side of the crown."
should think pseudo negotiations be made for my position to be made official. So long as Damien is relinquished of duty, and I am provided ample parameters for this temporary arrangement, I don't see why I can't do that duty.
And Sovereign Micah nods, and you see the moment that whatever hold they had on Damien releases. And Damien straightens up and, without another word or glance at any of you, leaves the room. Octavia, you can tell that King Laszlo is measuring up the Sovereign in light of what he just witnessed.
Abigail is going to sort of lean down to speak very quietly to Laszlo. She will say, "My liege, this may be an excellent opportunity for what we spoke of. You could bring your niece back into the fold. This would all go a lot smoother."
And he nods and says, "You're right. It would be good for the whole family to be reunited."
Family is so very important.
Though, Miss Donatelli, you may have noticed that my niece is not one to see reason.
Perhaps not in the past, but things were different then. You didn't have me.
And you think you could convince her to see things my way?
I think it could be a good start. Octavia is not stupid. At a certain point, it would be foolish to reject the inevitable.
One would think she would have been a little more grateful to you to see Prince Reynard, her cousin, return to us. Because, as you said, family is everything.
Well, you've seen the results of one miracle. Let's see what I can do this time.
I feel like I'm going to regret this decision later when we inevitably go to midnight, but I think that is a beautiful moment for us to take at least our first break of tonight.
Oh,
So
First
don't
break?
go anywhere.
I'm
We'll be back.
stressed.
JT, I hope
Oh,
you know. I
what?
hope you know. I hope you know. Pib Extra used to be called Mr. Pibb.
You just made us all feel 1,000 years old.
We just all took psychic damage.
What
Hold
do you
on, I'm
mean?
rolling.
She's a
I'm
baby.
finding some d8 so that we
No.
can.
For the audience at home, what happened was you said, "Oh, that's Pib. I'll go get them." And then Amber said, "Oh, like Mr. Pib?" And
We
then
took
you
8
said,
psychic damage.
and then you said, "No, Pib Extra, like the soda."
No, okay, but her name is Pib Extra.
Okay, that's fair. Pib Extra used to be called
sweetie.
Mr. Pib.
Yes.
Like literally up until like what 2010.
This is not Tater. This is
No,
Pib Extra.
Pib Extra.
This is my brother's cat. Come on, sweetie.
God, I'm having a crisis.
Yeah.
JT, you did ask me if I wanted to play a game. So
I did,
what are you
yeah.
proposing?
We're gonna get to that.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
JD and I were on the same page. We know what's up. We know what's happening.
Don't
We'll
I
see.
fucking don't.
It'll be good. It'll be good. I promise.
It'll be fine. We're gonna have a
I don't
normal
know how to
run.
play chess. Period.
We're not playing chess. I don't. Did I ever? Did I ever say chess?
It could
I'm
be
just letting
Monopoly.
you know what I don't know.
We're playing life, the game of life, Amber.
Okay, great. Let me get my spinner.
Yeah. Hi, sweetie. Come here.
Buddy. Okay, I'm still reeling from the Mr. Pibb. Okay, I'm gonna get back
Ow.
in the
Pain.
right mindset for this and not the I'm crumbling to dust mindset that I'm currently feeling.
Yes.
We're actually going to return with you, Astrid. My
No.
first question is, did Astrid make it inside the home?
I think eventually. Like, she probably needed some time to kind of regain some strength. Listen, I'm sure we have all been there after a panic attack and you realize you can't get your feet from underneath you, and it feels like not just Astrid's feet have been knocked out from underneath her, but like her legs have been like forcibly taken from her from this sorrow. And I think Astrid eventually just like is able to lean up enough against the door to get it open so she can slip inside and then collapse against the door as soon as she is inside. So, is she inside? Yes. Is she beyond the threshold? Barely.
And
So,
Astrid, you are there inside the home that you and Dorian have been building together. And the silence is oppressive because there's no one else here right now except for you. And you can feel that emptiness stretching out, room by room by room. But that feather in your hand is still radiating warmth, almost like there is a hand in yours.
I think Astrid is going to take this feather and hold it close, right up against her chest, to feel the warmth press as close to her skin as she possibly can get. And again, pretend to fall into the delusion a little bit and feel like Dorian wasn't just snatched from right behind them. And I think this is going to be her anchor as they gaze into the abyss.
I would
Just to
love
look
that.
for who could have possibly taken her? Him. Sorry, I was dunking on JT in chat.
And so, yes, roll with dark.
Wait, before I celebrate that roll, do I have a negative plus? Oh, okay, it's a 9.
Okay. You see a gleaming white citadel. Buildings stretching up and up and up. And there is sound almost like humming in the background. But it raises in pitch. And you realize it's not a hum, it is thousands of voices singing. But you can't process the words. They are jumbled and meaningless, and the only thing that comes from them is that hum. And you see flashes of feathers, not just white ones like the one in your hand, but gray and black and all varying shades between. And you see blood. And then it gets confusing because you start getting flashes of other things. Your reflection in that mirror in Fairy.
Okay.
Octavia's house, her family home. And flashes of things that you're pretty sure haven't happened, but how would you know? The image of King Laszlo, lying on the floor, a pattern of marble that you recognize belonging to the palace, a pool of blood around him. And then you're back to that white citadel and the golden light streaming all around. And the look of terror in Dorian's eyes. Just for a moment. And that is the last flash you get.
Sorry about that. I needed to make sure was able to focus. Okay. I have no idea where this white citadel is. There's no possible way I could try to source that at this time. But seeing the pain in Dorian's eyes and actually seeing his eyes not obscured by the darkness of his glasses for once, actually seeing it sends blades through my heart. Blades that could be used to assassinate me if necessary, but thinking those words, Astrid alerts, realizing Octavia. Octavia, no, she knows where Octavia is, roughly.
You were all invited to be at the palace for this, so you very much know that that is where Octavia is, and that the purpose of that meeting was to meet with King Laszlo.
Yeah, I think Astrid is actually going to run away, but it's run away to find Octavia and make sure she don't die doing this dumb thing. Great thing, wonderful thing. We should all kill kings. Or prime ministers. No, don't say that. In Minecraft.
Good save. Excellent
Yeah.
save.
But yeah, she's gonna run away. So let me. Oh my god. Yeah, my volatile changed, I think. Oh great, I have a +2 in volatile. Wonderful, love that. That's an 11 to run away.
Incredible. So yes, you are running towards the palace. Nothing is getting in your way. The one thing I will say is, as you reach for the door to step outside, you've been thinking about Dorian's eyes, and you realize not only has it been so long since you've seen them not obscured by the glasses that he wears, it's been so long since you've seen them not obscured by that bright light emanating from them. And you realize in that moment that there was an instant, just a flicker, where his eyes turned quicksilver. And I'll leave you with that as you are running straight towards the palace.
Google's angels, Quicksilver. Fuck, nothing.
I couldn't even have predicted what would have come up with that.
What comes up is X-Men.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It does,
that
actually. It
tracks.
really does.
I should have been able to predict that.
Yeah.
And so back at the palace, we have a moment unfolding. Octavia has just been nominated to speak for the monarchs. Abigail has supported this, and everyone seems to be in agreement. King Laszlo and Queen Guinevere have agreed. Sovereign Micah and Queen Louis agreed. Effectively, the moment that Damien left. And Octavia, you are motioned to step into a side room with the regents.
She will. Go ahead.
Could we add an addendum to our support? Uh, I would we would absolutely support the naming of Lady Octavia Frostpin as seneschal, but the proceedings should be postponed until she has had a chance to become more acclimated to her role and all of the responsibilities that it entails.
And that is passed through by King Laszlo, and it is accepted by the monarchs, who step inside the room along with you to meet with you. And it is Queen Louis who speaks, not Sovereign Micah. And she studies you and asks, "Are you sure you want to do this, Miss Frostpin?"
When I came to you last season asking for your support in exchange for my having saved your partner's life, I felt assured in my support from the sovereignty here. Seeing now that that support has been withdrawn, I would say I have been fairly slighted by both sides, enough so that I can operate impartially for the purposes of this proceeding.
And there is a moment where you see frustration on Sovereign Micah's face, and they say, "Octavia, it is so much more complicated." And that's about all they get out before Queen Louis cuts them off and just says, "We understand, Miss Frostpin. We have not upheld our promise to you."
I appreciate the apology. Whether it is forgiven is left up to you. What parameters would you have me follow?
Well, to be frank, if you consider yourself to be equally opposed to either side, there are not many parameters to set. All we ask is for you to be fair and impartial in how things progress.
And I'd like to make very clear that, barring any severe emergencies, this position is strictly temporary.
That is understood.
One more thing. I'd like to hear what Sovereign Micah had to say.
And you can tell that Sovereign Micah is backtracking because they say, "No, my wife was correct. I was speaking out of turn and in a moment of frustration. Many things have happened in recent times. That is not an excuse for us to have broken a promise to you."
Then I'd quite like to use my favor now. It has come to light that there's a player on the map that I don't think the opposing side has come to. And if things are to proceed peacefully, I think that they will be integral to it. Now, assuming that is what you want, Your Majesty, I'd quite like us to demand them brought in, or at least allowed into the proceedings, so that we may continue.
Would you want to introduce that person today, as the proceedings will be delayed?
We can wait until the next time the proceedings occur, I think. Or at least until they are ready to begin. I must speak with her before she's brought in to ensure that they are caught up and willing. But I have no doubt that they will be, given the circumstances.
And I think that is the moment that there is a bit of a commotion in the meeting room as Astrid essentially bursts into the room, swinging the doors open.
Octavia, wait, what are you doing? What is happening?
Octavia, you hear Astrid's panicked voice from the other room.
That would be them now.
Abigail
Where's
is gonna move.
Octavia? Where's Octavia? Where is she?
Abigail's gonna move to intercept Astrid, and just kind of put her hands on Astrid's shoulders
Who
and speak.
the fuck do you think you are touching me?
You need to calm down. There are very dangerous things happening here.
You have no idea the real danger that lies ahead.
I'm sure I
No,
don't know everything.
fine. I will maintain decorum for just this moment.
Octavia is fine. She is safe. She is meeting with the Sovereign.
Dorian's gone missing. Dorian's gone
He
missing.
does.
Octavia is on a suicide mission. I cannot lose another person. I just got Octavia.
I will give you my word that if things go according to plan, this will not be a suicide mission. Dorian will be fine. He does that.
The trust I have is not placed in you. The trust I'm feeling, the trust does not belong to you at all.
Lady Brimmer, I never told you that you should trust me.
But I trust that Octavia is going to
Just let things proceed.
And Octavia, you may walk out to join your newly found sibling.
I think it's almost a little bit cocky the way she swings the door open and strides over to Lady Primer. Astrid, Lady Primer, apologies. Might I have a word with you in a private space for just but a moment? The sovereigns, of course. Supervision. No nasty business going on behind any closed doors here that won't be reported. No dishonesty. And our forum, yes?
At that, King Laszlo does say, well, that would seem to be violating decorum if the sovereign is there and we have no representative there.
Would you like to send your new lapdog?
Yes, I think Miss Donatelli would be an excellent choice.
Would be my honor.
In Astrid's mind's eye, she like spits on Abigail, but doesn't.
Oh.
Darkest self. That's
In
the worst thing she can
public,
think
man.
of.
And so the three of you, along with Sovereign Micah, step back into the room that you just came from, Octavia.
My darling Astrid, I am sorry for the display. All things necessary, I promise.
What is happening? What are you doing?
It would seem that I am arbitrating this negotiation on behalf of the sovereignty. And I'd quite like to involve you in the negotiations.
Do you aim to use me as a pawn?
No, of course not. Your will be your own. If you wish not to be involved, I will simply not involve you. And we can convene other ways. But if I could be of assistance to you somehow in exchange for your help here, which would be very desired by me, I will do what is in my power to help you. To the end of my life, I might say.
Astrid, that is exactly what you are afraid of.
Your life could end tonight, Octavia.
Would it be that fate saw fit to put me in harm's way? I have no doubt that you would protect me as you have rushed here to do, which I do very admire. I must admit, it is. I've never had someone, not even my sister in life, to trust like that. I would not see you in harm's way.
Protection to such lengths as these is something that sisters do naturally. It's in our blood to protect those we consider family. And
Then let's
no,
then let's protect each other.
I think we both owe it to ourselves to have someone in this godforsaken world that we can find protection in for once and not feel like they're
Like
going to
everything's going to the
disappear.
wayside. That, too. I won't disappear on you.
Please don't.
Sovereign Micah, Miss Donatelli, representative of Winter Court, I'd like to present as an addition to the jury Lady Astrid Primer, my sister and member of the Tom.
Astrid remembers her training, her home training as a lady, finally, and curtsies appropriately. I do apologize for my indiscretion. Um, the realization of what Octavia intended to do here today hit me like a whirling dervish, and I, of course, panicked, realizing what may become of her. So I do, again, sincerely, deeply apologize.
Sovereign Micah, it's just taking all of this in and says, honestly, Lady Primer, my concern is much less with decorum. My concern is a lot more with what you thought your sister was about to do here.
That she was meant to sacrifice herself. In a manner
Miss
of speaking.
Frostpin?
No intention of sacrificing myself, although it does seem that I have become the lamb of Damien Deloso.
I have many questions which I do not think are mine to ask. What I will just say, Miss Frostpin, you asked about parameters. I would remind you that meetings such as this are neutral ground.
Yes, that's why Miss Donatelli's here.
And that it would be, I cannot stress how concerning it would be were blood to be spilled on neutral ground.
Might that the blood spilled balanced the scales of justice, I would happily
Really,
offer myself up in shackles. But, as it stands, any blood spilled will not be by my hand. Lest your life be in danger, or any lives of the jury that we have summoned here to do peace talks, I'll remind you.
yes, I was making sure we were all on the same page, that that was our intrinsic motivation.
Of course. Would I have agreed to this if I had no other motivation? This isn't an admirable position for me, Sovereign Micah.
Understood, but Lady Primer's worry for your safety has my concern raised as well.
If Octavia insists that she is not to put hand to blade, and she truly is safe here, then I trust her. Because my trust is in Octavia.
You'll respect the fact that the palace is neutral ground, of course. And speaking as the arbiter of winter in this matter, we have nothing to hide. We raise no objection to Lady Primer being included.
And it would seem we are all in agreement. Proceedings will be postponed. And when they happen, Lady Primer will be a part of them. Well, with that, I believe as we will not be convening today, I will be taking my leave. I would recommend you stay away from the front lawn of the palace. I'm sure you will see why, if you have not already.
Quite a homey touch.
They just look pained and go to leave.
Speaking further, after the seneschal leaves, or maybe on the way out, Abigail would say, speaking further on behalf of your family, Octavia, I'd like to extend an invitation to you and Lady Primer, as this is a family affair. And your uncle's estate following this. Perhaps an opportunity to clear the air, mend fences.
Miss Donatelli, when you say my uncle's estate, do you mean the Connolly residence?
The former Connolly residence, yes.
I didn't see any document with my uncle's name on it. Lest it be deeded over to him, I'm afraid it's the Connolly residence we will be convening at.
Well,
Stolen ground.
as the case may be. I hope you'll both be in attendance.
Anything to support Octavia in her pursuits.
Of course. But, Miss Donatelli, dishonesty does not suit you. I'll see you later.
No, Octavia. We both know that's not true. It
Maybe
suits
you
me
think
just
you
fine.
do. Lady Primer, can I walk you back to your estate?
Please. Remember, you have a home with us.
I was hoping you'd say that. Again, I don't think that the parameters of my current contract consider house and board.
And there was that room with the secret passageway.
I was going to put it out there, but unfortunately, there is no longer anyone in the room who can speak to that. So, yes, there is a specific room for the seneschal.
I think I'll stay with Lady Primer as a point of neutrality.
Well, I'd best go fill your uncle in on the proceedings. I'm sure he will be delighted that he will be seeing you later.
I hope not.
Abigail will excuse herself.
And by that point, I will just say as you walk out, Abigail, the room is emptier than it was. The rest of the courts and the unaligned ambrosia have left, but Winter remains. All who were present from Winter. So you see the king and queen and Prince Reynard standing with Emery. They're off a little bit in the corner talking quietly together. King Laszlo looks at you expectantly.
My liege. Things proceed on track. The Lady Primer has been brought on board as a neutral party as well. This will not affect our proceedings, but I was able to secure both of their attendance at a gathering. Very informal after this. She catches herself and says, "Your estate."
King Laszlo smiles and just says, "Good. I've been ready for a family reunion."
I'm sure you have.
And with that, King Laszlo rises and Winter Court moves to return to their residence.
Abigail does have to swing by her apartment to pick up one thing before she heads to the Connolly estate.
Would you like to share with us what the camera sees?
Sure. Abigail leaves through the front entrance of the palace and doesn't seem to be in any great hurry, but she does head to the left, not straight down the lawn or the steps that lead away from the palace. And she passes behind one of the columns, but she never emerges from the other side. Instead, the door to her apartment opens. She steps in. It does look less immaculate than it has in the past. It's in a bit of a state of disarray, but on the table, the dining room table, there is a wooden crate. Small, but small and rectangular. But it is not made of any recognizable wood. It's this black as midnight wood that almost shines with an infernal light. And there is a red seal stamped on the front of it. And she will move the lid gingerly to one side, reach into it, and pull out a bottle that she will then study for a moment, holding it up to the light, smile to herself. With just a hint of madness, maybe, in her eyes before she leaves.
I will say, Abigail, before you leave, you hear a familiar voice say your name, followed by, "What are you doing?" And I'm just
What
curious, are your mirrors covered? Or can your father see through?
I would say that normally, oh God, I wish I could remember what I said before. I feel like I said before that she does not have mirrors, or at least not very many. I think I said she has one mirror, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's like in the bedroom for her to do makeup only. Um, but I think in this particular case, the place is in such a state of disarray. She's been moving things around a little bit. And so even though she keeps that mirror covered, that cover is slipped off.
And in that case, you see your father looking out at you.
Business, father.
Obviously. Are you okay?
I think it's probably my turn to roll something. It's a loaded question.
Would you like to roll to keep your cool?
I was debating between keep your cool or shut someone down, but I think keep your cool does make sense. I don't think I'm very cold. I am not very cold. All right. Let's see.
So what are you afraid of, Abigail?
God. Okay. That my house of cards will fall. That I'm going to fuck this up. And that I don't have nearly as much control as I wish I did, despite how I've been acting.
What did you roll?
Well, I got a 5 and a 2, which is a 7. My cold is -1.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, that's up to you, I guess.
And so, Abigail, you not only feel that house of cards starting to shake, starting to tremble, and you see all of the ways that this could go wrong, but your hesitation as you respond means that Abraham Donatelli sighs and says, "Abigail, I know I have taught you well, but you are not in a place to be doing business right now. That much is obvious.
Everything will be fine. So long as everyone gets what they want. So long as I can give them that.
And that's where things always start to fall apart, don't they, Abigail? When you're trying to please everyone, but what they want is something diametrically opposed.
Check one thing here. It's a little late for this. This supportive, caring father routine.
I've acknowledged the mistakes that I've made, Abigail, and the ways in which I've failed you. But as has always been the case, if you tell me you do not want me to interfere in your life, I will not. Hi, Raiders. We're in the middle of an
Hi.
emotional episode of our Regency Monsterhearts game, a second
Raiders.
season of Secrets and Shadows.
And I'm definitely not doing my Duolingo while listening.
Never.
Never.
I'm not breaking my 83-day streak.
No, listen, that's fair.
We would never expect you to do so.
We cannot disappoint the owl.
All hail the owl.
We've talked before about the mistakes that you've made or the missteps, but let's talk about what you've given me. Does it please you to look upon me, Father? Does it make you feel like Him? To know that you've made me in your image?
What good could asking that question of me bring, Abigail? If what you want is for me to let you live your life. Because, as you said, this caring, supportive father routine feels disingenuous in some way. It's too little, too late. And you can simply ask me to leave. You do not have to find the old wounds to push on so that I will choose to leave you.
Well, that would be easier, wouldn't it? Me telling you to leave. More comfortable, I imagine. Though, you seem very comfortable as just a face and a voice that offers vague warnings and does nothing to actually help.
The last I was aware, Abigail, you had asked me to give you space. If you wanted more of me than these occasional check ins, I needed to know that that had changed. You know that the door to the townhouse is always open to you. And I would hope that you would also know that if you said the word, I would be on your doorstep in an instant.
What comfort. If you would like to help me, actually help me, then there is a loose end that you could deal with.
Anything you ask of me, Abigail.
Zazel, I'd like him dealt with.
Abigail, your father has a very good poker face. And you see the moment he realizes that he has fucked up. And you see that moment panic in his eyes when he hears what you have asked of him. At the exact moment that he has told you he will do anything you want.
I muted. Your microphone was doing that thing again.
Why is my microphone doing this? Is it not now?
It sounds okay now. I think what it's doing is sometimes you're talking very quietly, and then so it's like noise suppressing you, but when you stop talking and then start talking again, it seems to be fine. So I think you're okay.
It hates me. We'll work on this, especially before the next Academy H.
Anyway,
And so, yes, you see the moment that your father realizes that he has fucked up and has just told you that he will do anything for you. and this is what you have asked. And you see that moment of pure panic, which he quickly shuts down and says, "Consider it done."
And I think Abigail's affect changes. She doesn't look nearly as unsure or worried or hurt or scared as she did a second ago. She just walks towards the mirror and says, "Thank you, Father," and then pulls the covering back over it, takes the bottle, and leaves.
Incredible. And I think that is going to take us to the Connolly estate as we see Astrid and Octavia arriving on the grounds. The frosted over lawns and gardens, the house wreathed in ice. The guards still patrolling, though perhaps less intensely than they have been. How do the two of you arrive?
Octavia. What? What in the hells are you doing? What is happening?
I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I needed an ally, and you're the last one I have left. I need to get a measure of what Abigail's angle is here.
Abigail's angle is always what serves her best.
That's not true. It can't be. Last season, she helped us separate the Deloso brothers. Absolutely nothing to gain for herself. Given that she has not gone back to Damien as a, any form of marriage or love, means that she did it entirely selflessly, and I cannot believe that she would turn her back on us. I am furious with her, but I have to assume that she's up to something.
She's absolutely up to something. I mean, I'm grateful that she stopped me from showing my whole rear and from ruining whatever chances that you had at achieving your goals, which I do again sincerely apologize for. But I don't know, I fear that all of this is just going to end in destruction for you.
I
And
have seen a future war, one where I am still standing proud. It's either we prevent that war, or we lose a lot of good people.
you're right. I cannot argue with that at all.
I'm going to disclose one final piece of information. I looked into it to be sure. As far as Fey legality is concerned, you are my sister. We are family enough, which means whatever we're doing, we have to do it together.
Correct.
It means we have leverage Laszlo doesn't want us to have. And I need you to keep in mind when we go in there that this man wanted you dead. And he wants us dead. He's a horrible, spiteful coward.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I just Octavia, I have no idea what we can do to ensure success here. I mean, Dorian's gone missing. He's been. We were on our way home and he was snatched up. I don't know if he'll even be back. I wasn't able to stop him or save him. I can't afford to lose you now that I have you.
I promise I'm not going to do anything brash in there. Okay?
You actually promise?
The face promises their bond.
Well, what can I do to support you in this endeavor then? So we don't lose each other.
All we have to do is have dinner. Have dinner with our uncle.
That sounds easier said than done based on your tone.
I'll admit I'm feeling a little bitey right now. But I know better now. It has taken me months to get here. We'll be okay. Together.
Together.
And once it's all over, last thing, we'll go find your fiancé. He made a commitment to my sister to get married to her and have a happy life. And I'll be damned if he's going to get out of that for some silly abduction.
What should I know in advance of this dinner so that we can get out as unscathed as we possibly can?
Trust your judgment. You're very smart. And I don't know if enough people have told you, but the best we can do is sit and talk. Octavia will offer Astrid her hand.
Astrid stares at it for just a moment, worrying her bottom lip with her teeth as she weighs what she's about to get into, but ultimately, it's worth it to feel that sense of belonging. Truly. for the first time in ages. And she takes Octavia's hand. Together. United.
And the doors to the Connolly estate open to you as your feet move across the gravel in the driveway, up the steps, and then ring out on the marble inside. And you are both escorted and then presented at the dining room where King Laszlo, Queen Guinevere, Prince Reynard, Emery, Miss Abigail Donatelli, and to your shock, Octavia, your parents are all standing.
Could you list those in attendance one more time? No reason.
I would love to. I would love to. The king and queen, their son, Emery, who you at this point, Abigail, know is Reynard's betrothed, and Octavia's parents, Lord and Lady Frostpin.
Mother, father, what an incredible surprise.
And your father seems a bit taken aback by your response. Like, you saw his face light up when you walked in, and the fact that you do not seem as enthusiastic to be here and to be seeing him here definitely jars him. And his smile starts to fade, but he keeps it up and says, "It's been a long while since we've been here, but it's good to be back, and it's, as always, good to see you, Octavia, and it is good to see you again, Astrid."
By what means have you been called out of fairy, if I may ask? This is entirely unprecedented.
By King Laszlo's request, of course, this is a family affair, is it not?
And oh, how much an affair it is. So much so that we've invited someone entirely external to the dinner. How odd.
And King Laszlo says, Miss Donatelli is essentially our seneschal.
I'm largely here as a mediator to ensure that things don't get out of hand.
You would know something about that, wouldn't you?
There are obviously a great many things for us to discuss, but there's no need to rush into it. It's been a long time since you've all been in one room. I'm sure there must be plenty to catch up on. Not the least of which, I imagine, is your newfound sisterhood.
Yes, indeed. It would seem through all of my misgivings this season, I have found one good thing to come of it.
You do feel the temperature drop in the room when Abigail says that, and it is pretty evidently from King Laszlo, because your parents, Octavia, are as fully informed as you could make them during that venture into Fairy. They did not necessarily expect to see Astrid here, but they know of them, and it is clearly Laszlo who is not quite so comfortable with Astrid's presence, though he does raise a glass and says, "Yes, to sisters and to family."
While this exchange is going on, and while this story is being told and the toast is being made, Abigail, who has seated herself next to Emery, is going to, under the table, run one hand over his knee. And then, when the opportunity presents itself, clear her throat and say, "Well, before we get to business, as I am the mediator, there is one tradition that I thought we could observe, but I will have to retrieve what it is. I will have to retrieve the gift that I brought first. I'd like to roll to turn Emery on
I was about to ask you to do that.
so that he will follow me."
Interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is 2 4s. That is an 8, and hot is +2, so that is a 10. So I get a string, and then they choose a reaction from below. They give themselves to me. They promise something I think I want, or they get embarrassed and act awkward, but that doesn't feel like something Emery would do.
Not this time around, at least. This time, you have caught Emery's attention, obviously, with this display of affection. And they turn to you and ask, "Miss Donatelli, is there anything I could help you with to set up for this tradition?"
There might be. They took the bottle from me when I got here. I'm not sure where they put it. Could you show me?
Of course, I would be happy to.
Thank you, Emery.
And they lead the way towards the wine cellars.
Fantastic, fantastic. Once we are far enough away, Abigail, kind of continuing with the aggressive pattern, is going to stop walking and then just sort of shove Emery up against the wall and lean in very close and then whisper some stuff in their ear. I can tell you what she whispers, or it could be a surprise. It's up to you.
I would like you to send it to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just need to do one thing here. Okay, cool. All right. I'll just do that, but we'll be back shortly with a bottle.
Incredible. How are Octavia and Astrid handling this very awkward family dinner? Where I will say, to their slight credit, as much credit as I can ever give King Laszlo, they're all trying. Like, it is awkward, but they are trying.
I believe Astrid's had enough experience in the in society, even though this is a very uncomfortable situation. And she knows none of these people here, really, except save Abigail and Octavia. Um, she'll just put on a pleasant, compliant face, accept anything given to her, and keep up with polite chatter, because why not? Why portray that anything could possibly be wrong when it's Octavia on the line?
I don't think Octavia says much. I think she's letting Astrid sort of handle the formalities almost as she sort of uh, just grips the arms of her chair, and she lets food and drink pass her by because she's not particularly hungry, and all things considered, not very interested in what Laszlo has to say, especially given the audacity to bring her parents around for this. To her, this has turned from a show of gratitude to dealing a hand that he thinks will shake her, and she doesn't want to indicate that she has been shaken by this.
And I think that moment that you've kind of been waiting for, that you've been in some ways bracing for, comes shortly before Abigail and Emery return, and King Laszlo looks at you and raises his hand, and the table quiets down. And he looks at you very seriously, Octavia, and says, I am a proud man and I am stubborn. And so this is very hard for me to admit. But I acted rashly when I exiled you from the Winter Court.
I must be quite honest with you, Uncle. You did me quite the favor, sending me away to my devices.
Octavia, don't be like that.
What? I'm thanking you.
I am telling you that we want you back. We would welcome you back.
I don't think you're ready to have that conversation without your arbiter present.
This is not a matter for Miss Donatelli to arbitrate, Octavia. This is a matter of family.
Yes. Family is quite interesting, isn't it? So, in the interest of family, why don't you go ahead and tell us why I had to discover Lady Primer was my sister?
And I
For the
think that is
record, at that, Astrid has the face crack of the century. Just like, and just continues to like.
And I think that is the moment of awkward silence that Abigail walks back in on.
Everyone enjoy the chicken. I thought the chicken was lovely.
Goodness gracious, you could hear a pin drop. Abigail, in hand, carries a bottle, a green bottle, dark green, but so dark that it almost and might as well be black. It's only very slightly transparent, and she will stand at the head of the table. She will say, Emery, if you could be a dear and fetch those glasses from the bar cart.
And Emery does immediately.
This is a tradition where I come from. It is a rare and expensive and valuable drink that is nearly impossible to acquire outside of the lower plains. And it is tradition to toast before any deals or treaties are struck. It is called absolution. Now, of course, I understand the tensions are high, so to allay any fears, she will take one of the glasses that Emery brought over and pour some of the liquid from the bottle into it. It is a deep, dark, rich red color, the color of blood, but not the consistency. She will hold up the glass and she will say, I will drink first. She takes the glass and she sips from it, and she savors it for a long moment. It's been a long time. Emery, if you wouldn't mind pouring some of this into the glasses and handing it out, I will, of course. She picks up two of the glasses and I will, of course, deliver these to our guests.
And Emery goes about filling the glasses, handing them out to King Laszlo, Queen Guinevere, Prince Reynard, Lord and Lady Frostpen, and allows you to deliver the glasses to Octavia and Astrid.
Abigail places them. She leans in between the two of them to place the glasses in front of them, and she says, her affect, her cadence, her tone does not change at all, but she is standing in such a way that her face is not visible to anyone except for Octavia and Astrid. She says very meaningfully, it is perfectly safe. She doesn't pause, but her eyebrows go up. She says to you, Octavia, perfectly safe to drink. I promise.
Abigail, you get to mark an experience. When I failed earlier, I was able to pick a new move, and I picked lure. Whenever someone makes a promise to you, they mark experience.
Fair enough.
And whenever someone breaks a promise to me, I mark experience.
Cool. Once everybody has their once everybody has their glasses, she will move back to her seat, but she won't sit down. She will hold it up and she will say, and of course, what could we toast to on a day like this, except for family?
And that sentiment is echoed from the royal family, from Octavia's parents, from Emery themselves.
Abigail takes another drink as the toast is complete.
Astrid does not drink.
Octavia will raise the glass but will not sip because she does not drink alcohol.
And
That's
everyone else in the room drinks.
do
There's a
apologize.
funny,
I'm a teetotaler. Abigail, I hope you understand.
of course, I would not hold that against you. It's a funny thing, absolution. We drink it before every deal, every treaty, everything. Any dealing, truly, from hell. But it's not just symbolic. There's a practical purpose. When dealing with devils and demons, there are far too many abilities, spells, powers that could interfere with it being an honest trade. Absolution neutralizes that. Now, of course, an unfortunate side effect of that in this case is that everyone in this room, myself included, is powerless. Except, of course, for those who didn't drink. Octavia. Abigail will gesture to the table and say, as promised, you get to mark an XP because I lied to you, or I broke a promise to you, rather. I told you it was safe to drink, and I've supplied you with something that you expressed you desired to me. Since you asked me for it, you get to mark another XP.
Abigail helping everyone just level up all over the place. King Laszlo looks furious and is looking between you, Abigail, and then Octavia and Astrid, and says, "You all planned this, didn't you?"
Immaculately.
Actually, to be quite honest with you, Uncle, I had no idea.
No, then why
Genuinely.
didn't you drink?
I don't drink alcohol.
I said it earlier, Your Liege. Octavia has learned the most important lesson. When a devil says, I promise, don't believe them. You may as well finish your drinks and enjoy it. It's too late now.
What will you do, Octavia? Assassinate me in my own home? Assassinate me in front of your parents?
She's going to turn to Astrid first. I don't think something this meted and planned counts as brash, do you?
I'm so sorry, Octavia. I believe the only thing I can hear at this moment is sharp ringing in my ears. Can you say that one more time?
I don't believe something this meted and planned counts as brash, do you?
Okay, that is what you said. Uh,
I
uh,
just need you to say yes, darling.
yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I would close your eyes.
Abigail will say, not looking at Octavia, not looking at anything, just looking at her cup. Oh, don't kill Emery. He's kindly volunteered to take the blame.
Octavia will turn to Emery. I'll make sure you get out of this. I will try my best. Now, Laszlo. I believe you said I was going to assassinate you on your estate. But I'm not doing that. I'm killing a man who had the audacity to steal land from my regents. And she will stand up and pull Everfrost from her side. And she's going to turn to Reynard and the Queen. I'm giving you an opportunity to stand down at Laszlo's expense. Are either of you going to contest that?
And Prince Reynard hesitates for a moment and then steps back and says, "Absolutely not." King Laszlo looks furious at this, as does Queen Guinevere, who reaches for her own sword and says, "Octavia, I am not letting you kill my husband."
That's really a shame.
Ugh.
Had you abdicated, I wasn't even going to arrest you for supporting a coup.
Astrid takes a moment and places a gentle hand on Octavia's shoulder, realizing Astrid shouldn't just sit here and be like a silent party, and instead steels herself and takes a deep breath and looks at the Queen and says, I mean, wouldn't it be easier for you anyway to let your husband die and be free from him? And I would like to use enchanting lore. You can magically persuade others to do almost anything as long as they think it will benefit them.
I love that.
That's my sister.
And it just
Incredible.
happens. The spell is broken when they get what they want or they think they'll never get it.
That's my sister.
Absolutely fucking incredible. You say this, Astrid, and Queen Guinevere, who was clearly about to throw down, pauses, and you can see her going through every slight, every time she was made to feel lesser than King Laszlo. The fact that, well, Prince Reynard is back, there is a part of her that still blames her husband for what happened to their son. And she too steps back and then reaches for Prince Reynard's arm and says, "I think we should leave Miss Frostpin to this."
I'm sorry. I just need you to repeat that with the proper title this time. Pretty please.
And Queen Guinevere does it through clenched teeth, but says, "Yes, Queen Frostpin."
I'll see that you're well taken care of.
Astrid is going to lace one arm gently through Guinevere's and lead her out of the room and say, "It would not be becoming for you to soil your skirts with your husband's blood. Let's make sure that you were not present for this." And leads her out of the room.
Is Reynard moving to follow?
He is.
Reynard, a moment of your time, Abigail says. Octavia may have chosen to spare your life. But you heard my friend. He tormented her. And I am not as forgiving. And since Octavia chose not to kill Reynard, that activates the other half of my hypnotism.
It does. And Octavia, you watch as Emery steps up behind Reynard, a blade in hand. And you see that they could just stab him in the back, but they choose to make sure that he can see it coming. And I'm also going to say that takes, well, the soon-to-be former King Laszlo's attention off of you as he turns to see his son dying for the second time.
I think Octavia's going to approach his seat. And if I may embellish with the frost powers a little bit, uses her ice to turn his chair and whole full body just sword under the chin, tilt his head up to look at her. You should have heeded my warning when you sat on the wrong throne. Kneel.
And King Laszlo doesn't have a lot left, but he does have enough pride to say, "I will not die on my knees."
As you wish, uncle. And she's just going to take her Everfrost in two haughty hands, and she's going to behead him in the chair.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Sorry, is that too much?
No.
Are we anti-beheading here?
No, that was beautiful. Octavia, your parents are still in the room and they are splattered with your uncle, their brother's blood.
Oh. Sorry. I genuinely don't know why he brought you here. But You don't have to hide anymore. I am sorry you had to see that. This is what he did to me.
Your parents both look shocked and horrified, and perhaps most of all by those last words. And you can see both of them having that thought of, what could we have done differently? What could we have done to, but not in a way of like, you are exhibiting delinquent behavior. I mean, you are, but that is okay. More in the way of, how could we have protected you? If this is what happened, how could we have stopped this?
I think if Octavia's picking up on that, she's just going to, now that Laszlo's dead, drop the sword and let the magic on it break, bend down to Laszlo's head and take the crown from it, and set it on her head. There is nothing that you could have done differently. You have been marvelous parents. And were it in my power before, you would never have had to hide for what you did. You did a great service to my sister. You did a great service to me. You made me smart enough and kind enough to stand here and do what needed to be done for the good of our people and for the good of London. I am truly sorry that this is what I became, but it wasn't all bad. I met someone I never would have met if I had stayed in my place. And I made a lot of friends last season. And hopefully, things as they are, we can go forward. And we can return balance to things. And her sunken eyes, not sunken, but her tired eyes, let up on the bags and the tiredness. The frosted tears don't go away, but she does come back to herself. Because as far as Octavia is concerned, the scales of justice have been rebalanced. And her darkest self ends as quickly as it began.
Holy shit, Octavia, you went dark itself and ended with a crown.
Abby
You should see her in a crown.
should see her in a crown. Abigail stands up from her seat, holds the nearly empty glass of absolution out in front of her, says, "Long live the Queen." And tosses it back.
Your parents echo that sentiment.
Okay. Excellent. I need to go find Astrid. Abigail, I know this is like your whole spiel, but I would like my parents cleaned up. By any means, you can instruct a guard to have it done. And if you could have one send word to the palace, I would be most eternally grateful.
Your will be done, my liege.
And never call me that again.
Fair enough.
And Octavia's gonna sweep off to find her sister.
And I think that is going to bring us to a few final scenes of the evening. And so I'm curious, as Astrid, you and Octavia leave the Connolly estate, as I would assume you do. or are you staying?
This isn't my house.
I figured as much. So, unlike your uncle, you are respecting that. And I'm curious, where do the two of you go?
Do we go to your new throne room?
My new throne room's all the way in Fairy. I'll have arrangements done between seasons. You have an empty house of clues, I believe.
Yes.
And a fiancé to find?
Yes, I do.
Barring any paperwork and negotiations with Sovereign Micah and Queen, I did say I would help you find your fiancé once my thing was done.
You did promise.
Of course.
And I expect a queen to deliver on her promises. And like a small smile graces her lips.
Octavia smiles back. Do you know the one single unfortunate thing about being queen? I have to find someone to marry now. Which is what I was sent here to do in the first place.
Funny how marriage was the start of this all and ended up being our unraveling.
Unraveling of a sort, but I think you've unraveled quite beautifully.
Oh, at least
She is certainly someone I'm going to need to be in contact with soon. But you have a fiancé out there waiting for you. And imagine how poetic it will be when you save him.
a fae and an angel together in holy matrimony.
Oh,
More
yes,
likely than
yes,
we think.
of course. Do you and Dorian, once you're married, do you want to be lords on the Winter Court? Lord
I
and
think
lady,
we're
of course.
I think we're thinking a bit too ahead of ourselves. Let me
Oh, of course, of
find
course.
Dorian
Sorry.
first.
We'll find Dorian first. He should be included in the discussion.
And I think that is the moment we pan out on the two of you making your way back to the house to look for clues as to where Dorian is. What does Abigail do once she is left at the Connolly estate?
I think she is alone in the dining room after she's given instruction for Octavia's parents to be cleaned up and the bodies have been removed. She reaches down to pick up the bottle of absolution from where it was left on the table, but her hands are shaking so much that it slips through her fingers and shatters on the ground. She just kind of leans over the table, resting all of her weight on her palms, and just takes some shaky breaths and tries to will herself to calm down.
And it's hard for you to know, Abigail, if the sensation you start to feel prickling across your skin is anxiety or something else because your powers are so muted. But as you're taking in those breaths and as you're Heart rate is slowing just a bit. You recognize that sensation for what it is. Someone is tampering with the wards on your apartment.
Well, I'm going to have to deal with that.
You sure are.
I imagine because Octavia was able to go there that I can still get there without full access to like my powers. So when I arrive, do I see anything?
The door to your apartment is open. That's all you see, though.
Everything else looks the same?
Do you go inside?
Yes.
Everything else looks the same. But there is a box. Sitting right in the middle of the living room.
What's in the box?
Do you open it?
Yes.
I don't want to make assumptions.
I approach it very unsure. Look for any kind of signal or sign of where it came from or who delivered it, but yeah, I'm going to open it.
Do you cast a magic missile on the box?
No, I don't have my magic. I drank the absolution.
And so you approach the box cautiously.
Just give me 1 second here. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just cool. Real quick, just a quick good stuff redeem.
You approach the box, and it is wooden, not made of high quality wood. And the lid is easy enough to push aside. There are no identifying marks on it. But when you push it open, you see just one item inside. You see a hand with several rings on it that you know belong to your father.
Yeah, okay.
And as you reel back from that, you catch sight of something you didn't see before on the door. A familiar sigil etched into the wood, letting you know that Azazel has marked your space as his territory.
Cool. Well, I think that pulls me out of my darkest self.
I
So
think that
that's
is
cool.
fair. That's something. You're winning. That said, what is the last image that we see of Abigail for this season?
I actually don't think it's in the apartment. I think it is when the door to Dorian and Astrid's place opens because she knocked on it. And I think when Astrid opens the door, it's a very different Abigail standing there. I think it is clear that she has been crying and is distraught. Her clothes are disheveled, her hair is disheveled. The little makeup that she is wearing is like smeared.
Sorry, I was muted like 3 times over. Astrid is probably in her nightgown already, like, sleeping, and opens the door to find you, and all for a moment, the hatred and severe distrust flares up in her body, but seeing your state and realizing you would not come here to Dorian's place looking like this without a reason. Astrid will let the devil into her home.
Abigail's not super able to talk right now, but she says, I didn't know where else to go.
This is a home for all who are lost and feeling like they have no direction. Dorian established it because he knew he did not have a safe place to land elsewhere. He welcomed me to it because he knew that I did not have a safe place to land elsewhere. We offered it to Octavia because we knew she did not have a home. And if you need a safe place to land, then our home has proved itself to be so many times over. Would you like a cup of tea? I can grab something for you. She gestures to like the sitting room and very pointedly does not acknowledge the piano in the sitting room, but um, you know, offers a place to sit, um, so that Abigail can probably take a load off. Well deserved.
Thank you. I made a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing. Thank you.
You're welcome. We've all made mistakes, but it takes fortitude to realize when we've made one. I'm proud of you for having the fortitude to recognize this. Let me
I
get you something comforting, and you can tell me all about it.
think that is the last thing that you said is more than Abigail can take, and she tries to respond and then just like chokes out a sob and I think just grabs onto Astrid because she is crying so hard. Probably is not going to be able to talk again for a while.
And we move away from that safe, supportive household. And we move We move back to the Conley estate. The frost is gone. It has melted. And you see Queen Guinevere. Her eyes sharp and angry, leading Emery, who is escorted in iron shackles, towards the entrance to Ferry at the edge of the property. And as the two of them cross the lawn, the grass begins to change, moving into the beginning browning of late autumn. The trees sprout leaves only for them to move into the palette of the fall. And the earth itself almost seems to release a breath, as this particular threat to the balance is removed. But we also see, as we pan back, that multiple spots in the city of London are still flickering. That blighted spot of earth, the mark of the sun where Dorian was taken, and still others as well, the place in the graveyard where Astrid made Hell and Fairy connect for a moment. And that is the image we are going to leave this season of Secrets and Shadows on. And we'll see what unfolds when we return.
JD, what does that mean?
What does that mean, JD?
What does that mean, JD?
Fine, everything's fine. The Winter Court is gone. The Winter Court now belongs to Octavia. It's so fine.
You should see me in a goddamn crown.
We did it.
We did the thing. All of the things.
Yeah.
You accomplished a lot tonight altogether.
Yes.
Let Octavia say fuck. Let Octavia commit regicide. Let Octavia get married and settle down and be happy.
There you go.
That's season 3. That's my arc.
From lady to miss to queen.
We love to see it. All right, everyone. Thank you for letting me keep you a bit late. Let us go around, remind people of who you are, all of the reasons you are awesome, and where else they can find you. Starting with Amber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. Anywhere there's internet, I am a 3-time Emmy-nominated TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, and streamer. I have been Lady Astrid Primer this season. God, I love this character. I love this game. I love these people. I love this GM. I love everything. So the next several months without this is going to be miserable. Well, maybe not. I got some fun things cooking up here, specifically on Life from the Apocalypse, and also in other spots, maybe Entropy Emporium, maybe High Shelf Collective. Who knows? It's all happening. So just follow me at the Space Jamber on Twitter, on Threads. Those are going to be the places you can find me right now. And yeah, well, maybe coming to a Kickstarter near you too. So
Yeah.
Always a delight to have you with us, Amber.
Absolutely. I love you, JD.
All right, Will.
Hello, I'm still Will. Hi. I am one of the storytellers here live from the apocalypse. I do a bunch of stuff. First and foremost, let's just get it out of the way. We are Academy H, the mass actual play podcast that we record live on this channel and that I run and that I edit, is a finalist in 4 categories for the Audioverse Awards, which is insane to me. It is nominated for Best Recurring Voices, Best Guest Voices, Best Production, Best Director. If you voted before like the 20th, I think, or maybe a little bit before that, they had to throw the ballot out because there was a mistake with it. So please vote again if you already did that. So if you only voted once and it was before like the 20th, you would have gotten an email about it also. So there's that. But yeah, if you voted already, if you got an email, please vote again. That goes until like January 6th. I don't remember, but it's not a huge window. So if you want to do that, that would be amazing. We will be back recording that on the 7th with a special guest, Della, who you've probably seen in a bunch of other stuff on the channel. So come check that out. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a very good time. Little teaser. We will not be on Earth for the whole time. Very exciting little tidbit to throw out there. I don't think I'm doing anything here on the channel until the 29th, which is going to be Silent Noct, the Apocalypse Keys holiday game that I'm running for the 12 Games of Hasmus. Everybody's characters are unhinged and horrifying and very sad, despite being holiday themed. So everybody understood the assignment. They really nailed it. Check that out. Also, this coming week, I am off of work for the holidays, so I'm going to be doing some streams on my channel. I've been posting in the chat if you want to follow it. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers so that I can create more chaotic things happening on that. If you want to drop it a follow, feel free. I will be doing some video games, maybe a Pokemon thing, but I will also be working on the Super Sentai powered by the Apocalypse system that I've been trying to make for like a year now. So join for that if you want to. Daytime, I don't know exactly when. But probably Monday. Anyway, I think that's it for me, right? I don't think I have anything else I need to talk about. Cool. All right, that's it.
And JT.
Is it my turn? Oh my
Yup.
goodness. Hi, I'm JT. Tonight I was Queen Octavia Frostpin for the first time. You can find me all over the internet at WeebJeet, except on Threads, where you can find me at Weeb_Jeet. I'm doing a lot next year. The year's rolling around. I'm doing some goofy little projects. For example, kicking off my own channel, which has been a very fun and insightful process. Entropy Emporium, brand new space dedicated to campaigns and playing video games with my friends when I feel like it. But mostly campaigns, because I feel like there are a lot of stories that still haven't been told in this space, and I'd really like to get them out there, give them a platform, and see people have fun and be nice and inclusive and safe together. Because there's a lot that I see for this space that I would like to help be an active change in. To start, Entropy is launching the week of January 7th with Lust and Dust, a Thirsty Sword Lesbians Mad Max style game run by Taylor over at High Shelf Collective. The next one is called Project Reach Extraction, which is run by my good friend Harp. It is a Cypher System dot hack style heist game, which is super dope, and I'm very excited for it. And then, as Amber mentioned, they're helping with a goofy little project as well, which we're all very excited for. I'm especially very excited for it because I think it's really going to round things out over there. You can also find me on High Shelf Collective every other Wednesday, next Wednesday being one of them, running the Beacons of Farlight, which is my Beacon actual play. Beacon just released officially off of the Kickstarter and everything. The PDF is final. It is out there. You can go buy it, and it is so goddamn cool. It is fantasy JRPG inspired Lancer, and there is so much customization you could do with it. Go check out that and buy it if you want, but also come check us out playing Beacon if you want to see the system in action. I will also, in the new year, this is my last thing, I promise, be running the first mini campaign of Beacons. I'm calling them Beacon Bites, where I am getting 3 to 4 new cast members to give my main cast a break. and they're going to be playing in the world of Forsaken like the rest of them. Totally off-branch adventures. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it entirely, immensely. That's all for me. I know that's a mouthful. I got a lot going on. This was a good game. I love you all, and thank you.
Don't apologize, JT. We love to see it.
Absolutely.
Hi, I am JD. I have been the storyteller for this game. I'm actually not doing that much in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a pretty quiet time. I'm off after tonight. I won't be back until Wednesday when I will be over with Lost Caravan playing 10 Candles, and Will has promised to make bad things happen so that we, have a candle probably blown out like 5 minutes in, and we're immediately fucked. It's fine. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait to cry. Then I'll be back here on Thursday for Redacted. That is our psychological horror game that I run. And then you can also find me in Class Reunion, Academy H, and a few other games on this channel, Never Ember's Enigma, and Thy Kingdom Come, which will be coming back in a couple of months. So yeah, I'm not doing quite as much as I used to, but I'm going to have I claim I'm going to have a slightly quieter January and February, and I think we all know that I'm lying. I've also been working on something with the Lost Caravan that we've been pre-recording and will be dropping in the new year, and I am very excited because I genuinely think it's some of the best roleplay I've ever done. It is a campaign of Cult, and it has been a time. We will actually be maybe finishing that up for filming next Friday or next Saturday night. So those are the things that I have going on. But I think with that cast, we can all say goodnight.
I was going to say there's also at least one Academy H adjacent project that you're going to be in.
There is, but I didn't know I could. I didn't know if I could announce that yet.
Not announce it, but we can certainly tease it. Where you might see a familiar face. You might see JD playing a familiar face. Maybe, who knows? That's coming up at some point in the next couple of months. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for us here tonight. So there is literally no one streaming. It's a Friday night before the holidays. So we're not going to raid anybody. If you're not following us on social media, there are a bunch of different socials in the chat that you can follow, or you can join the Discord community, which is a great place full of great people, and we would love to have you be a part of it. But that being said, it's late, so let's say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.